time to meet the men from the ministry. Join us now for another glimpse of life at the top with Norma Ronald, Ronald Baddiley, John Graham and the men from the ministry, Richard Murdoch and Deryck Guyler. Man is a naturally inquisitive creature, forever anxious to know what his neighbours are up to. For many of us, prying into other people's lives is a way of getting into trouble. For ministry men, it's a way of life.
I must say, too, we did a grand job on this census form. Some of these questions would floor anyone.
Yes, but I rather think they would. My favourite is, are you a member of the opposite sex, if not state reason? That was one of mine, wasn't it?
Yes. I rather prefer mine, though, you know.
Oh,
yes, at the bottom of page 21. Are you still using your own teeth? If not, whose teeth are you using?
The snag is having to read through all the answers.
Yes, I find some of them quite amusing, though, you know, really. I mean, look what this woman's written here.
Mm-hmm.
Look, before I fill in this form, should my husband be put down?
More forms, Mr. Lennox Brown.
Ah, thank you, Mildred, yes. And now, what about a drop of that magic potion that knits up the rebel sleeve of care?
Do what?
A pot of tea, Mildred.
Blimey, I haven't got time, have I, with all them census forms? I've not had a cut myself for 20 minutes.
Well, you see, it's vital work, Mildred.
If you say so, sir. But people keep asking me why we had to have another census. I mean, we had one quite recently, didn't we?
Ah, well, that one was such a success, you see.
Was it?
Indeed it was, Mildred. It entirely achieved its object.
Well, what was the object, Mr. Lamb?
It gave government officials something to do.
Better still, you know, we had to recruit thousands of new staff.
Yeah, I noticed. But did we really need them?
Of course we did. First the forms had to be printed and distributed. Then when the public had filled them in, they had to be collected.
And after that, it took months to tear them all up and throw them away.
Of course they weren't all thrown away, Mildred. Parker of Pensions used some to pay for his office.
And Mr. Rudge at the Board of Trade kept a lot. What did he do with his, I wonder?
I'm not sure, but he was cutting them into little squares and punching a hole in the corner.
Yes, but you know, this new census form is bigger and better. Oh, my word, over 200 questions on personal history.
And that's just page 1.
Well, I bet you get some funny answers.
Oh, I was just saying so to Mr. Lamb, Mildred. Yes, look at this one here, where it says, name 4 bears. The chap's written, Mother Bear, Father Bear, and 2 bears.
There's a real idiot here. He's filled in his name all right, but after sex he's put Tuesdays. Doesn't make sense.
But you know, you can understand people getting cross, can't you? I mean, having to write all these answers when they're busy.
Ah, yes. Well, now, we made special concessions for busy people, Mildred. Now, just look there at page 2. Answer these questions by putting a tick in each box. If you're short of time, make it half a tick.
My mum couldn't remember her place of birth. She was very young at the time.
My place of birth was no problem. I just put spare bedroom.
Yes, well, now, let's get on with tying these forms in bundles, too. The permanent undersecretary wants as many as possible burnt by the end of the week.
Righto, one. Oh, talking about Sir Gregory, he's rather left us alone lately, hasn't he? I wonder what he's up to.
Come in, come in.
Oh, good afternoon, Sir Gregory. My name's Keene.
Oh, stop all the chatter, man. What do you want?
I'm Keene, sir.
Well, I'm glad somebody is. Surrounded by laziness, incompetence, and bungling.
No, Sir Gregory.
Don't argue, man.
I'm Hubert Keene, Census Liaison Officer Technical.
Ah, CLOT. Yes, I've heard about you. What do you want?
Well, sir, census forms have been returned from all over the country, except from one little village in Cornwall called Treadwerley.
Nothing to worry about. They'll turn up eventually.
I hope so, but I did send a couple of our enumerators down there last week to check up, you see, and they've not come back.
Not surprising. You know what British rail is like.
No, I've tried to contact them, and they've disappeared.
Disappeared? Oh, that is odd.
So I wondered if you'd lend me 2 of your men to go down and see what's happening. A couple of bright chaps, if that's possible.
It isn't. Oh, my lot are hopeless. Bunch of idiots.
I should also warn you, it could be dangerous.
Dangerous?
Some of the villagers down there hate officialdom, and the cliffs are very high, and the sea is pretty rough. There could be accidents. You'd have to regard your men as expendable.
Expendable men? Ah, there I can help you.
Thank you, sir.
I've got 2 of the most expendable men in London. If I never see him again, it'll be too soon.
Oh, well, that's enough for one day, too. I think I'll toddle off home.
It's only 3:31. Mind Sir Gregory doesn't see you.
Oh, don't worry, don't worry. I've learned how to make myself inconspicuous going down the corridor. Yes, I take my shoes off and tiptoe past his office with my umbrella open to hide my face.
Well, I'll stay on for a bit and read my book. It'll save burning the gas fire at home.
What is that you're reading to?
It's about one of those chaps who crossed the Atlantic in a dinghy. It's called Rowing My Way.
Oh, it's a bit adventurous for you, isn't it?
Oh, no one. I've often thought I'd like to go to sea. You know, throw everything up.
Yes, well, I'm off, as I said.
What if Sir Gregory comes in?
Oh, tell him I've gone to the Home Office.
He might not believe me.
Oh, too bad. I can't be bothered with him. He's just a tyrant. He's a loudmouth bully.
Lennox Brown.
Oh, hello, Sir Bully. What has you to call, sir?
Well, I thought it was time we had a friendly chat.
Really, Sir Gregory?
Well, now, look here, you 2. I hope you don't think of me as a tyrant or a bully.
Oh, no, Sir Gregory. We were talking about someone else.
Hey, too.
Well, I may have had to speak sharply on occasions, and sometimes I've wanted to hit you, but that's as far as it goes.
Thank you, Sir Gregory.
On the other hand, I do worry about your welfare. At the moment, for instance, I feel you need a holiday. This new census has given you a great deal of extra work.
Has it?
Yeah, well, indeed it has. Of course it has, yeah. We've often been here till 4:30.
Well, I got wind of a little assignment down in Cornwall, sort of liaison job.
Oh.
It means a week by the sea, all expenses paid, lovely little bay, magnificent cliffs. What about it?
I jump at the chance.
It may not be necessary for you to jump. I mean, I've already put your names forward.
Well, now, that's extremely kind of you, Sir Gregory. Yes, we might even get in the water.
More than likely, Lennox Brown. As I said, there is one small task I'd like you to carry out while you're down there.
With pleasure, Sir Gregory. Yes, bring you back some clotted cream, a pisky or 2, and some Cornish cider.
No, I'm not sending you down to get piskies. I want you to pick up the census forms from Treadweatherley that haven't been returned yet. The villagers may need some help. They're simple folk, you know.
Just leave it to us, Sir Gregory.
Mildred can run the office while we're away. After all, we're not indispensable.
No, indeed you're not. Yes. Good luck.
I say, one, what marvellous luck.
Oh, Jove, yes. You know he's not such a bad old stick after all, is he? I mean, he really seemed to enjoy sending us off for a break.
I may have to buy a new swimming costume. My old one's got a moth hole on the knee.
Oh.
And I'll take my shrimping net. It's in the map cupboard.
Sure. Have a little decorum, please. I mean, we're going down to represent the government.
Yes, sir.
We're to help locals with their census form.
Simple folk, Sir Gregory says.
Yes.
Oh, they will be pleased to see us.
Order, please, order.
Any more of they white all snoopers come down here, we'll string 'em up.
No, gentlemen, I don't agree. You must remember that these ministry men represent the government. I feel that we should receive them in the traditional, local manner.
Oh, and what's that, Miss Clegg?
Throw them off the cliff. Having first put them in the stock and pelted them with rotten fruit.
Order, please, gentlemen. Gentlemen, please. We are gathered here today to discuss a very, very serious problem. Our postmistress, Miss Clegg, has informed me that 2 more Whitehall representatives are indeed on their way here.
That's right, Squire. They arrive tomorrow morning by train.
Well, we have to decide what to do. Big Jim, you wanted to say something.
Well, yes, Ducky. I think myself personally, in my opinion...
Oh, get on with it, man.
Well, why don't we just fill in these census forms and be done with it?
Because the census forms demand that you state your occupation, you foolish fellow.
Yes, and the only two people in Treadwerley who can show legal employment are Miss Clegg as postmistress and you, Big Jim, selling Cornish piskies to the tourists.
And the rest of you are making illegal brandy, I know. But you don't have to say so, Ducky. Just make something up.
No. Not a good idea. Once we are down on paper, the authorities have ways of checking, you know.
The fuzz would nick us in no time. Right in the middle of our record year. Oh, I meant to tell you, Squire, my latest figures show 2,000 barrels of nettle brandy smuggled to France already.
Well, we don't want to spoil that. So the problem remains. What do we do with these new ministry men?
I say string 'em up, or throw 'em off the cliff like Miss Clegg said.
No, just a moment, please. We really should avoid violence if we can. It creates problems, you see. I suggest we treat these two government men as we did the last two.
Well, what was that, Squire? I've been away.
Oh, yes, of course. Yes, you were up in Manchester, weren't you, buying more Cornish biscuits? Well, we filled them with nettle brandy and sold them a cottage by the harbour. They soon lost interest in the census and in going back to London.
Well, they gave it all up for the cottage and the brandy.
Well, they're also receiving a certain amount of attention from Miss Bedwell.
Oh, now I see. Young Moll with her big lobster pot. Shameless trollop.
Well, it worked well enough before, so I move we try it again.
Very, very well, Squire. A skinful of nettle brandy should keep them quiet. At least till Friday, when the next big shipment leaves the cove.
And if it don't keep 'em quiet, then there's allus the long drop from Devil's Point.
Good morning. Welcome to Treadwerley. I am Trelawney, the local squire.
Oh, how do you do, my dear sir? Yes.
do.
Now, I'm Lennox Brown, you see, and this is my colleague here, Mr. Lamb.
Yeah, how did you
How
know?
do you do? Well, you've had a long journey, gentlemen. May I suggest a little drink at the local hostelry over there?
A drink? What, you mean at this time of the morning?
Oh, we don't worry about licensing hours here. We don't worry about licensing hours today.
Today?
We have an extension, you see, because of our local goat fair.
Oh, goat fair sounds a bit of an orgy.
Well, it's all but. You follow me, gentlemen, this way. The locals are looking forward to meeting you. Let me pour you another, lamb. Jake, open another barrel.
All right, Squire.
What sort of beer is this? It tastes almost like brandy.
Yes. Well, it's a local brew, you see. Drink up, Lennox Brown. Have another.
Oh, my dear sir, I've already had 4 pints.
12, actually, but who's counting?
Really, jolly nice meeting you people, you know, but it's time we got up and went out of our senses. I mean, we went out and got on with our senses.
You don't want to bother your heads about no census here. Let me top up your glasses.
Yeah, perhaps you're right. I feel very sleepy.
You know, it's a real pleasure for us simple folk to mix with smart gentlemen like you.
Yes, Jake's right. It's not often we meet the great decision-makers who run the country.
Do you know you've got a pimple on the end of your nose?
No, hum a few bars and I'll try and pick it up.
Oh, my word. It's grand to see you relaxing after the cares of London. Do you good, you know, to stop all that stress and strain and settle in a place like this.
Give up the flesh pots of the big city and come and enjoy them down here.
I don't think they're listening, Jake. Mr. Lennox Brown seems to be asleep.
You're right. And where's the other one gone?
That's him under the table with his head on my shoe. Order, please. Order.
Now admit it, Squire. Your plan didn't work. They weren't as soft as the other two.
Unfortunately, they were softer. they fell asleep before Moll arrived.
And today they're going around with hangovers, driving everyone mad.
Oh, Jake's right, Squire. They're pestering the whole village with their wretched census.
We may have to try sterner measures. Whatever happens, they mustn't be allowed near the cove tonight.
Leave it to me, Squire.
If they do see the boat with the brandy, we'll just have to push them over the cliff. Gently, of course.
Well, I don't know, too. We don't seem to be getting anywhere with this blasted census.
Can't understand it. I don't think these villagers want our help. I asked the postmistress how many people lived here, and she said 800. But that's the same as the census 50 years ago.
Ridiculous. The population can't stay constant. Haven't any babies been born?
That's what I said, but she said every time a baby's born, someone leaves the village. Still, we have got a few forms filled in.
Oh, yes, but some of them don't ring true. Well, I mean, one local fisherman might be called Adolf Hitler. But not 10 of them.
What about all these mishaps? Lucky that sack of potatoes missed you, but why did it fall from the church roof?
Very odd. Very odd, you know. And 4 times we were nearly run over in the high street.
Of course, that could happen in London.
Yes, but in Treadwell there's only one car. There's something very strange going on, you know, too. I have an instinct about these things.
Hey, you two!
Look out. Is that rough fella Jake? Better ask him for his census form.
No, you ask him. You're senior. He looks rather angry.
Wait a minute. Is that a sledgehammer he's carrying?
I want a word with you.
Oh, good evening, my dear fellow.
We'd like a word with you.
Nothing important, you understand. It's just...
But if you have filled in your sledgehammer, the census form, we'd be pleased to take it.
Oh, you would you?
Now, look here, old chap. There's no need to lift my colleague up in the air like that.
Put me down. I can't stand height.
And I can't stand interfering layabouts from London.
Help me, what?
Well, I'm sure it doesn't mean any harm to. It's probably the local way to greet friends.
Now, listen, you two. Don't go near the cove tonight. I warned you. Steer clear of the cove around 10 o'clock.
But we've no plans to visit the cove.
Well, don't say as I didn't warn you. Just watch it.
Come along. Keep up.
Let's go back one. That thug specially told us not to come to the cove tonight.
That's why we're here, too. There is something going on, and I'd like to know what. Now, stop moaning.
I tore my shorts on that barbed wire fence.
Yes, I can see your predicament. This is no time to be bashful, too. You look pretty daft anyway, with your face covered in boot polish.
That's what the commandos did, to conceal themselves in the dark.
Yes, but they hadn't got bowler hats and briefcases. Hello. Wait a minute. Look, there's a boat out there in the bay.
So there is. That's the answer, then. We can go back to the hotel.
No, we can't. Come here, too. Come. Look, we must find out more about her. Anchored in open water, no lights. Yes, this needs looking into.
But it's past my bedtime.
Yeah, there's a dinghy at the water's edge. We'll borrow it. Now, we'll row out and have a look at her. See?
Row out? Have you gone mad, one?
Well, do as I say, too. Quick. Now, come on, over here.
The boat's full of barrels.
Yes, well, shove them aside. Now, there we are. Right, I'm in. Push off, too.
Righto. Cheerio, one.
No. Push the boat off.
Oh, I see. All right.
Go on.
Oh.
That's it. Good. Now, wait away. That's it. Now, grab those oars, too. Start rowing.
Why have I got to do the rowing?
Because I, should be navigating. I shall navigate by the stars. That's the pole star up there, you know.
No, it isn't. It's a lighted window on the cliff.
Yes, so it is, yes.
Even I know the pole star doesn't have curtains round it.
Just keep rowing, too, and we'll find out what this is all about.
I say, well, I've been rowing for over an hour now, and we still haven't reached that big boat.
Yes. Well, I didn't want to rush towards it. Might have aroused suspicions.
You sure we're going in the right direction?
Well, of course I'm sure.
But the boat's out of sight now, and so's the land, and the moon seems to have moved over to our left.
What? Yes, well, that's because of the time of the year, you see. Yes. Well, you see, the latitude and the tides and the summer equinox have to be taken into account.
Oh, I see.
Just leave it to me, too, will you, and keep rowing.
Miss Muffin, I want a word with you. I'm afraid I have bad news.
Not Mr. Lamb falling off his bike again.
No, but it seems that he and Lennox Brown were spotted last week rowing out to sea and haven't been seen since. By some oversight, the locals didn't tell the police till yesterday.
Oh.
I heard last night, but I kept quiet because I didn't want to raise false hopes. A false alarm. But today, Coast Guards at Land's End found 2 bowler hats washed up on the rocks.
Does that mean...
I'm afraid it does. They've obviously passed on to that great ministry in the sky.
But that's awful. Mr. Lamb will never see his pelargonium bloom.
I brought along this wreath, improvised rather hastily, of course. The hall porter made it from census forms tied with red tape.
Oh, thank you, sir. I'll lay it beside the teapot. They'd have liked that. Oh, now they've gone. The office will never be the same again. Never.
Yes, there is that to be said for it. Anyway, I want to dictate an obituary notice for the staff magazine. It goes to press tomorrow. No sense in waiting.
Right, sir. Just let me get me pad out and blow me nose.
Well, a handkerchief would be more hygienic, sure. Oh, I see. Ready, Miss Merton. Hit it. Civil servants at sea. The General Assistance Department were shocked to learn of the fatal accident involving Deryck Lennox Brown and Richard Lamb, new paragraph. Their careers blossomed under the expert guiding hand of Sir Gregory Pitkin, CBE, age 48. Sir Gregory, whose meteoric rise in the civil service followed a distinguished army career as a noted athlete and a skilled yachtsman. His hobbies are...
Just a minute, sir. Shouldn't this be about Mr. Lennox Brown and Mr. Lamb?
Leave it to me, my dear. I am the dictator. Pitkin here. Who? Coastal Command HQ. You sighted what? 2 men in a small boat? Good Lord, how dare they? Yes, keep me informed.
What was it, sir? Good news?
No, I mean, yes, good news. An aircraft has just spotted 2 men in pinstripe suits in the middle of the Atlantic.
Oh?
They were standing up in a boat, shouting at each other and pointing in different directions.
It must be them. It couldn't be anybody else, could it?
But what on earth are they up to?
Here, I've got it. Mr. Lamb's book.
What?
Mr. Lamb was reading about one of them chaps who crossed the Atlantic in a dinghy. Here's the book on his desk. Rowing My Way.
By George, there's another in his entry. Rowing for a Song. The man's obviously obsessed by the sea.
He must have decided to cross the Atlantic himself.
And persuaded Lennox Brown to go with him. This is just what the civil service needs. A new, virile image. Change that piece I give you, Miss Muffin. It's no longer an obituary. It's an urgent press release. Edit. The Nelson Touch. Civil servants, bold Atlantic venture.
I don't know what's in these barrels, but it's jolly good fuel.
Yeah, it's a bit of luck discovering that outboard motor under the seat. I was getting pretty exhausted, sitting there watching you rowing.
I wonder where we are now.
Hey, not sure, but I think I see land ahead.
You're right, one. It is.
We're home again.
My landlady'd be furious. I promised I'd be early for supper last Tuesday.
And here is the news read by John Curl. A ticker-tape welcome in New York for the 2 bearded British civil servants, Deryck Lennox Brown and Richard Lamb, who landed there today after crossing the Atlantic in a small boat. Lennox Brown's first words on stepping ashore in New York Harbor were, "My word, this part of Cornwall's very built up." A joke he subsequently declined to explain. Their crossing was completed in record time due to superb seamanship and a new British fuel said to be made from nettles. When asked if they intended returning to Britain the same way, the 2 men collapsed. They're now making a good recovery, and on their return to Britain will be guests of honour at a reception given by the Prime Minister, who today praised their achievement. He said he wished he had been in their shoes and was amazed at their great feat.
Well, I'm I'm proud of you both crossing the Atlantic like that. I must say I was astonished.
We were pretty astonished ourselves, Sir Gregory.
My dear Lamb, you're too modest. Let me pour you some more champagne. And then have another cigar, my dear Lennox Barnes.
I have 3 already, Sir Gregory.
Well, don't light this one till you finish the others. Oh, this is a great day for me, you know.
A great day for you, Sir Gregory.
Well, of course, I am head of the department, and as is the custom in the civil service, I get the credit.
But what about us, Sir Gregory?
Well, Lamb did some rowing, you know, and I did the navigation, and plus all the advanced planning, of course.
Oh, you won't be forgotten. I'll see to that. Yeah. By the way, there is one other matter. Sorry to bother you. Those census forms you went to Treadwell to collect, I'll take them now.
Yes, the census forms, yes.
That was the purpose of your visit. I take it you did collect them.
Well, we collected some, Sir Gregory.
Then let me have them.
We haven't got them anymore, Sir Gregory.
Haven't got the census forms? Well, what have you done? Eaten them?
Yes, Sir Gregory.
What?
Well, we were at sea a long time, you know, and there was nothing else to eat, so naturally...
All at sea as the men from the ministry were Richard Murdoch and Deryck Guyler. Also featured were Norma, Ronald Baddiley and John Graham. The programme was written by Edward Taylor and John Graham and produced by Edward Taylor. Time to meet the men from the ministry. You're invited once again to walk the White Hallway with Norma, Ronald Baddiley, John Graham and the men from the ministry, Richard Murdoch and Deryck Guyler. Ministry men have to be constantly alert, and in the General Assistance Department they must have a wealth of information at their fingertips, ready to answer any queries that may arise.
What's the date today, too?
Sorry, I've no idea.
Well, I just want to finish this form, and then I'm off for the weekend. I'm popping down to the country, you know. Yes, staying with the Cavendish Burkes.
Oh, them posh friends you met in Alcatraz?
In Algeciras, Mildred, our Spanish holiday.
I read about them in my magazine. They've got a stately home, haven't they?
Yes, I suppose you could call it that, yes.
Well, what else could you call it? It's so big, if they want to be in bed by midnight, they have to leave the sitting room at 10.
Now, don't exaggerate, Mildred.
And they used to throw it open to the public.
Yes, they did, but Mrs. Cavendish Burke didn't like them staring at her private quarters.
I wish I was rich. My mother used to give my brother sixpence to take me out in my pram, and I've been pushed for money ever since.
Never envy a rich man, too. A rich man's only a poor man with wealth.
Well, that's all very well, but rich people have got all these blooming luxuries, and we secretaries haven't even got hot water in the carpet's washroom.
Oh, dear, is that boiler broken down again?
And the door of our washroom's broken. It's got a great big hole.
All right, Mildred, I'll look into it. Tell you what, I'll have a word with old Fumbler Grant on my way downstairs. Jove, that isn't the time, is it? I must be off.
What if the permanent under-secretary finds you've left on Friday morning?
Oh, Sir Gregory's not likely to come in. He'll have gone himself by now. If he does, make up some excuse, you know, tell him my kitchen ceiling's fallen in, or my niece is having a baby.
Or you've gone to your grandmother's funeral.
Something like that, yes. Well, carry on, both of you. I'll see you midday on Monday.
Oh, carry on indeed. If he's sloping off early, why shouldn't I?
Are you weekending in a stately home, sir?
Not exactly, but tomorrow I'm going out with the Civil Service Nature Study group.
Don't leave just yet, Mr. Lamb. It's ever so embarrassing having to cover for you and Mr. Lennox Brown if Sir Gregory does come in.
Ah, Lamb, I want a word with you.
Sir Gregory, I wasn't going to sneak away early, I promise you. And even if I had been going to, I certainly wouldn't have gone as early as this.
Lamb, you're rambling again.
No, not till tomorrow, Sir Gregory.
Lamb, I don't know what you're talking about, but please sit down and just speak when spoken to. Now then, Miss Murphin.
Yes, sir?
Where is Mr. Lennox Brown?
Mr. Lennox Brown, sir?
That is what I said, Miss Murphin.
The Mr. Lennox Brown who works in this office?
That is a matter of opinion.
He had to leave early, sir. His grandmother had a baby.
What?
No, Sir Gregory, Mildred's got it wrong. His niece fell through the kitchen ceiling.
Why is it that every time I ask a simple question in this office, it's like gala night in a lunatic asylum? Mr. Lennox Brown, I take it, isn't here.
Yes, sir. He isn't. I mean, he is not here.
Thank you. That is something I shall discuss with him on Monday. In the meantime, you, Lamb, are the senior man. Bizarre though the thought may be. So listen carefully.
Yes, Sir Gregory.
Now, we of the General Assistance Department have been asked to help the Ministry of Works. They're overloaded at the moment because of next month's state visit by President Grotte of Westphalia. It's essential we put up a good show for him. London must look at its best.
Perhaps some fairy lights round the Foreign Office?
Thank you, Lamb, but the Ministry of Works have made their plans. No. Important buildings are already being washed. The problem now is the statues. They want them cleaned. No. Especially that splendid bronze in the Mare, the goddess Aphrodite, entitled A Vision of Beauty. She must be cleaned as soon as possible, plus the statues of Churchill and Queen Victoria, which first have to be repaired. Now, Mr. Balderstone of the Statues Department tells me some pieces are missing.
Oh, there's nothing missing from the goddess Aphrodite. I'm surprised she doesn't topple over.
It isn't a matter of tittering, Lamb. This statue work is top priority. Yes. Mr. Balderstone himself will ring on Monday to advise on cleaning the Vision of Beauty. The repairs, you can start at once.
Have a pleasant weekend, Mr. Lennox Brown.
Yes, thank you, Mr. Crowley. Yes, I was with some friends in the country.
Oh, very nice. Yeah. I always say a change is as good as a what's-his-name.
Do you really? Yes. Yes, it was a house party, you know, some rather sophisticated people.
Oh, lovely.
Hello? No one in the office?
Well, I think they were doing something for Sir Gregory. Do you mind if I wait? I wanted a word with Mr. Lamb, you see.
Yes, by all means, Mr. Crowley, but forgive me if I start work at once, won't you? Rather a lot on my plate.
No, you go right ahead. I wouldn't want to interfere with you.
I'm glad to hear it. Mildred's very upset, you know. She can't get a proper wash here. Apparently there's no hot water in the typist's washroom.
So, no doubt you've stepped in.
Naturally. Yes. Yes, the welfare of my staff is my first concern, you know. I spoke to Mr. Grant on Friday, and he's having an expert ring me about it. This may be them now, yes. Lennox Brown, General Assistance Department.
Balderstone here, Ministry of Works. I've been asked to advise you on this washing problem.
Oh, thank you, Mr. Balderstone. Yes, it is quite a problem, I can tell you.
We must get this Vision of Beauty washed as soon as possible.
My word, Crawley, they seem to think rather highly of Mildred over there. Yes, I'm delighted to hear it.
It's tragic that people should see her in this filthy condition. I'm told she's got mildew behind the ears.
Well, she's not actually filthy, Mr. Balderstone. I mean, all she needs is just a little hot water.
Hot water? Oh, no. That could take all the shine off her. No, she needs to be wiped all over with a greasy cloth.
A greasy cloth?
That's right. Will you be doing it yourself?
I beg your pardon.
Well, once she's been wiped down, she should be covered in paraffin and scrubbed with a long-handled brush.
What?
It'll need 2 men to get her really clean.
Are you serious?
All right, then, 3. She has got some tricky nooks and crannies.
Now, look here, you're going too far. I will not have her shut away in a little room being washed by 3 men.
Well, of course not, Mr. Lennox Brown. She must be washed down out in the mole.
In the mouth?
Don't worry, the tourists quite enjoy this sort of thing.
Look here, Balderstone, I will not listen to another word. How dare you utter those obscenities?
I'm only passing on Sir Gregory's instructions.
Oh, Sir Gregory, yes, I might have known that old lecturer had something to do with this. He should be locked up. And as for you, Balderstone, you ought to be horsewhipped. The man was making the most foul suggestions about Mildred.
Oh, I don't know what this world's coming to. I blame all this colour TV.
Fellow must be a maniac.
Mr. Lamb's taking longer than I thought. I'm afraid I'll have to be off.
Yes, well, shall I ask him to ring you, Mr. Crawley?
Oh, yes, please. I was hoping he'd put me up for the Civil Service Nature Study Group. I fancy a what's-his-name in the woods every Saturday.
Is that what Lamb's up to?
Yes, I follow his lead in all sorts of things. If I ever reach the top, it'll be thanks to your clever Mr. Lamb.
If you ever reach the top, I'll eat my... what's-his-name? Clever Mr. Lamb, indeed. No wonder they call him Creepy Crawley.
Morning, Ron.
Morning, Mr. Lennox Brown.
You look quite upset, Ron.
Yes.
Didn't you enjoy your weekend with Mr. Carraway Burke?
Cavendish Burke.
Well, I knew it was some Burke. Wasn't it as good as you expected?
I had an excellent weekend, thank you, too, but I've just had an obscene phone call from a Mr. Balderstone.
Yeah, Balderstone. Wasn't that the man from the statue department, Mildred?
Oh, yeah. He was going to ring about cleaning the goddess Aphrodite.
Statue department? You mean... He didn't mean...
After you went on Friday, Sir Gregory came in and gave us this job for the misery of works.
Cleaning and repairing statues.
We've already had the Queen Victoria and Churchill statues repaired, and lots of others. Sir Gregory will be pleased.
Right, you lot. I want a word with you.
Oh, good morning, Sir Gregory.
Don't beat about the bush, Lennox Brown.
Oh.
Where were you on Friday?
Friday. I was at my grandmother's funeral, you see, sir. Yes.
Oh, I am sorry.
Yes, thank you.
Perhaps this sudden attack of childbirth was too much for her.
Don't quite understand, Sir Gregory.
Well, don't let that worry you. It's hard to understand anything in this office. I, for instance, can't quite understand why you've attended your grandmother's funeral 5 times in the last 3 years.
I think it's the cold weather, son. But look, I can explain, Sir Gregory.
Oh, no, we'll leave it for now, Lennox Brown. Leave it. I've more important matters to be furious about.
Well, you can't be furious with me, Sir Gregory. Several statues have been repaired already. We've had all the broken pieces put back. I supervised the job myself.
I thought you did, Lamb. With the result that Sir Winston Churchill now carries an orb and scepter, while Queen Victoria is smoking a cigar and making a V sign at the House of Commons.
They put on the wrong blooming arm.
Get this sorted out double quick or I'll hammer you into the ground with your own umbrella. All statues must be cleaned and properly repaired before President Grotty's visit. Without fail. Get it?
Got it.
Good.
I've just been down the washroom, Mr. Lennox Brown. Everything's working a treat now.
Well, I'm glad we got that sorted out at last. Fumbler Grant sent the plumber this morning.
Well, apparently it was that old cistern.
The cistern, yes.
So at least we can get our hot water bottles filled.
Of course, with the winter coming on, you need lagging round the bottom.
Right.
Yes, well, that's one nasty problem settled. And talking of nasty problems, where's Mr. Lamb this morning?
Morning, Ron. Morning, Mildred.
Well, where on earth have you been to? You look even worse than usual.
I've been supervising the cleaning of the statues.
Oh, yes.
Yesterday afternoon, I was up at the top of Nelson's column checking on the day's work. And at 5 o'clock, some fool took the ladder away.
You don't mean you've been up there all night?
Yes.
And you didn't get any sleep?
Well, I couldn't, could I? I mean, if I dropped off, I might have dropped off.
Oh, Mr. Lamb, well, never mind. I'll go and make you a nice cuppa.
Oh, thank you, Mildred. It's a pretty thankless job, one. No sooner have the men cleaned the statue than along come a flock of pigeons and all their work's undone.
Yes, these wretched pigeons are a menace. I've always said so, yes. They perform no worthwhile function at all.
Just like me.
Yes. What?
I've always said the same thing. Pigeons perform no worthwhile function.
Look what some blasted pigeon has done to my bowler hat.
Well, perhaps they do sometimes.
Well, I'm sure it was an accident, Sir Gregory. I mean, the pigeon couldn't have known you were the permanent undersecretary.
What?
Well, I mean, it's a sign of good luck, they say, when a pigeon does it. When a pigeon drops a message like that.
Oh, rubbish, Lennox Brown. Pigeons are a pest, an infernal, disgusting nuisance.
Yes, sir. Just what we were saying, Sir Gregory.
Pigeons are the cause of our dirty statues. It's time something was done about them.
Quite right, sir. Otherwise, we'll never get the place clean in time for the President's visit.
And another thing, President Grotty may wish to travel in an open coach, and with all these pigeons about, you know what that could be.
He'd end up a very spotty Grotty.
Well, I'm a man of vision, Lennox Brown.
If you say so, sir.
And it's obvious to me you should now direct your energies to getting rid of London's pigeons before the President's arrival. The Ministry of Works can handle the statues.
You want us to get rid of the pigeons, Sir Gregory?
If you ask me, they're there because they're being fed. All these people who go round with bits of bread in paper bags.
By Jove, that's a point to that. Yes, if they stopped feeding them, the pigeons would go away.
We might have something there.
Yes, sir?
Yes, I'm glad I thought of that. We must put a stop to it at once.
You mean bring in a law against feeding pigeons?
No, new laws take too long to get through Parliament. They've only just passed the one banning stagecoaches in Hyde Park.
Well, then, what's the answer, sir?
Well, what's the usual answer when we want to stop people doing something, but there isn't a law against it?
Charge them with causing a breach of the peace.
Exactly.
Yes.
Now put it in hand right away, you two.
Sir?
This feeding of pigeons must be stamped out.
Here is the news read by John Curl. The new drive to arrest people feeding London's pigeons has caused widespread reactions. 5 van loads of elderly ladies have already been taken into custody and charged with possessing breadcrumbs. This follows a swoop by the Pigeon Patrol led by Inspector Bird of the Flying Squad. And here's a news flash. One of the notorious embankment gang rounded up this afternoon is now known to be the Lord Chief Justice. Police say he was found in a compromising position with several birds. It appears he was feeding them beetroot sandwiches and was caught red-handed.
Incompetent, blundering idiots. Getting people arrested for feeding pigeons. I never heard such daft nonsense.
But, Sir Gregory, when we discussed it the other day, you said it was a splendid idea.
Don't make feeble excuses, Lamb. It's got to stop.
You mean we're not to get rid of the pigeons after all?
Well, of course you're to get rid of the pigeons. Just find a better way to do it.
Excuse me, sir. There's a special sort of grease you can spray on roofs and things, and the pigeons can't settle. They just slip off.
Would that work, I wonder?
Oh, yes, sir. My gran and granddad use it all the time. They slide down the roof into the water butt.
What very athletic grandparents.
The pigeons, Mr. Lamb.
Well, I've heard of this grease, Miss Murphy. The trouble's always been how to get it on all London's rooftops at once.
Perhaps I might make an ingenious proposal.
Perhaps, but I doubt it.
I suggest, sir, that this greasy substance, this pigeon repellent, is sprayed on the roofs from the air by helicopters.
Now, as I see it, this stuff could be sprayed from the air by a helicopter. What do you think of that, eh?
Yes, it's a splendid idea, Sir Gregory.
Well, thank you. Right, you two will be in charge of the operation. Get on with it right away.
And here is the news. New measures to combat London's pigeon problem began today when helicopters sprayed the city roofs with a special grease to prevent the birds settling. Unfortunately, due to prevailing winds, the grease missed the rooftops and landed on roads and pavements instead. Widespread chaos resulted. The British Tourist Board say it is now possible to have holidays in Greece without leaving London. In Piccadilly Circus, taxis and cars have been hurtling round Eros out of control and unable to stop. The chaos was watched by large flocks of pigeons sitting on London's roofs. The birds appeared to be laughing.
In other words, you're not pleased with us, Sir Gregory.
I am speechless, Lamb, speechless.
We do apologize, Sir Gregory. And, of course, we've suffered too.
I'm delighted to hear it.
The grease is especially treacherous in Whitehall, sir. The entire department had to crawl to work on their hands and knees.
From your normal time of arrival, I thought you always did. Spraying London with grease, indeed. What an absurd absurd idea. Now, the whole thing was a ghastly blunder. London's roads must be cleared of grease at once.
Perhaps the helicopters could spray them with detergent, sir.
I'm going to arrange for helicopters to spray them with detergent. Now, how do we get rid of these blasted pigeons?
I have the perfect solution for getting rid of pigeons.
Very well, Lennox Brown, surprise me.
Thank you, sir. Use the pigeons' natural enemies, creatures from the wild.
Come to the point.
Well, the point is, Sir Gregory, if we borrow some falcons and eagles, they'll attack the pigeons and frighten them away, you see.
Falcons? Eagles? Where do we get them?
Well, my friends, the Cavendish Burkes, breed falcons on their estate in Scotland. I'm sure that they'd let us have some, sir.
And the zoo could lend us some eagles.
Well, funnily enough, Lennox Brown, I was just about to suggest using birds of prey. Yes. Well, better get started at once. I think we've finally got the answer.
Wanna bet?
And here is the news. The birds of prey set loose in London to combat the pigeon problem have caused widespread havoc. Outside the law courts, a falcon dived on the Lord Chief Justice and ripped out the seat of his trousers. He was rescued by passers-by who saw his predicament. London's pigeons seem unaffected by the new arrivals, and there are reports that some of them joined a gang of falcons in attacking the Prime Minister's budgie. Further problems have been caused by the detergent sprayed in the streets last night. After heavy rain, the city was covered in 6 feet of lather.
It didn't work, did it?
But that was the only flaw, Sir Gregory.
Oh, it was a ludicrous suggestion, a half-witted, half-baked act of lunatic folly. If this pigeon problem weren't so urgent, I'd take great pleasure in kicking you both down the ministry stairs. There are now more birds than ever, and London looks like a giant washing-up bowl.
I've been thinking of taking a spot of leave, sir.
Well, think again, Lennox Brown. By the time I've finished with you, the only sort of leave you'll get is sick leave. Now, what do you say to that?
If you need me here, I'll be happy to stay.
President Grotti arrives next week. He'll think this country's run by madmen.
And he won't be far wrong.
Now, once and for all, this problem is your pigeon. I want the birds gone and the city cleaned up before the president gets here. You've got 10 days to do it.
Well, no problem's ever defeated the ministry before, sir. But suppose this one did.
Then you'd both be dismissed, Lennox Brown. Sacked.
Oh, not sacked and dismissed, Sir Gregory.
And hung, and drawn, and quartered by me, personally.
I believe, sir, it's time to do what we always do with really tough problems.
Stuff them down behind the radiator.
I mean, appeal to the people's patriotism, sir. Why don't we urge the public to get rid of the pigeons as a patriotic gesture?
Well, you think people will shoot pigeons for the sake of the country?
Yes, sir, I'm sure they will. Especially if they get money as well.
That's it, one. We could offer rewards for shooting pigeons. 50p for a brace, or £1 for a pair of braces.
By thunder, this time I think I've got it. Harness the nation's greed and there's nothing we can't do.
Pigeon hunting will be all the rage. We could have a slogan like, there's a price on that pigeon.
Or, pot a pigeon for Europe, eh? What? Make the arrangements at once, you two. By Jove, I could get a CB for this.
I suppose the Godfather will take all the credit as usual.
So, hadn't we better wait and see if it works before we worry about that?
It can't fail, Mildred. At 50 pence a time, everybody will be chasing pigeons.
I'll even have a go myself. Hand me those rubber bands, Mildred, and some paper clips. I'll make one of my catapults. Oh, this will be exciting.
As a last bid to get rid of London's pigeons, shooting parties were out in force throughout the metropolis today. A syndicate of Yorkshire businessmen who have leased the shooting rights in Leicester Square were out with their guns at dawn. Beaters concealed themselves in the public washrooms, and a number of birds were flushed out. This afternoon, Sir Alec Douglas Smythe led a party of sportsmen in Parliament Square. They're reported to have brought down a large number of pigeons and winged 2 traffic wardens. They later moved further afield when told the sound of gunfire was keeping MPs awake. London's civil servants have been making their own bids for pigeon bounties. Some have been leaning from their office windows, hitting out at the birds with their umbrellas. Others have been lassoing them with red tape. Now, here's a late news flash. We've just heard that the Lord Chief Justice, while bending to pull up his socks, was peppered with shot on the South Bank. His condition is said to be uncomfortable.
By Jove, too, it worked.
I really think it has one. There's not a pigeon to be seen in London.
Didn't take them long to get the message. Yes, they've all retired to the south coast.
Mr. Balderston's getting all the statues cleaned in a nick of time, and this time they'll stay clean.
Oh, yes, for once Sir Gregory must be pleased with us, you know.
I wouldn't bank on it, one. Show him a silver lining, and he'll always find a cloud.
Well, it seems we've finally made it, right?
Yes, Sir Gregory.
Well, I said all along a public pigeon drive was the answer. Everyone's very pleased with me.
Even the Lord Chief Justice?
What? Oh, yes, he got peppered with shot, didn't he? Well, to tell you the truth, Lamb, I'm not all that keen on him anyway. And now I've got his chair at the club. He won't be using it for a while.
Well, sir, London's in perfect order for the President's visit tomorrow.
Indeed it is. The PM so delighted with my efforts, she's invited me to the champagne reception.
Oh, but, I mean, what about us, Sir Gregory? I mean, we did some of the work, didn't we?
Yes, I dare say you did. I'll see you get a few extra luncheon vouchers in the next financial year.
Oh, thank you very much, Sir Gregory.
Oh, don't let it be said I'm not a generous man. Here, have a cigar.
Thank you, sir.
Don't pull it about. You can cut it in half later.
Excuse me, Sir Gregory. Mr. Lennox Brown, I think you should see this bit in my magazine.
No, Mildred. You're not trying to get me on a dart again, are you?
No, sir, this bit here. The article about the President's visit.
Oh, really? Let's have a look at that, then. President Grotti is a keen ornithologist. One of the things I look forward to most, he told me, is the chance to see London's famous pigeons. I have heard...
Lennox Brown! Did I hear what I thought I heard?
This grotty chap's a bird fancier.
He wants to see our pigeons and they've gone.
You pair of nincompoops, you dunderheaded nitwits. Fancy getting rid of London's pigeons, one of our most treasured possessions. Oh, just let me get my hands on you.
Sir Gregory, please don't throw the in tray.
Just a minute, gentlemen, just a minute, please. Now, if President Grotti wants to see pigeons in London, he shall see pigeons in London.
Well, how can he see them when you've driven them away?
We'll import them, sir.
Import them?
Yes, sir. From Manchester, Liverpool, Fazakerley, Norris Green and Nottingham. Oh, there are thousands also in Glasgow, you know. I tell you what, we'll run special trains.
But they won't know their way around London, will they?
We'll give them road maps, Sir Gregory. We'll send people out with bags full of bread.
Oh, blimey, here we go again.
Getting the bird as the men from the ministry were Richard Murdoch and Deryck Guyler. Also featured were Norma, Ronald Baddiley and John Graham. The programme was written by Edward Taylor and John Graham and produced by Edward Taylor.